Welcome back. I'm Alina Adams, author of Getting into NYC Kindergarten and Getting into NYC High School, available on Amazon and BarnesandNoble.com. And this is Secrets of NYC Schools. A few weeks ago, in episode number 21, we talked to a dad caught in the middle of the battle to rezone several Upper West Side schools. You can listen to that interview on www.nycschoolsecrets.com under podcasts. He shared with us his suspicions that the Department of Education and the Community Education Council intended to keep secret and not let parents know about their rezoning plans until they were a done deal, except that the plans were leaked and the CEC did an about-face, claiming they more than welcomed parental input. The result of that were multiple open community meetings where parents mostly railed against the plan to shrink the zones of several top-performing elementary schools and relocate 2 schools into new buildings in new neighborhoods, which would also lead to some new boundary lines being drawn. 3 different plans were proposed, with the last one agreeing to only relocate PS 191 and to leave PS 452 where it currently is. Then, last week, the CEC unexpectedly unveiled yet another plan that they made pretty clear they expected the DOE to approve, even if the majority of parents don't. This plan once again would move PS 452 into the building vacated by 191. It would also make the zones for the very popular PS 199 and 87 considerably smaller and move over half the students now zoned for 199 into the lower performing 191. And just in case parents at the top border of District 3 were thinking they've dodged the rezoning bullet and their schools and zones will be left alone, the DOE has also proposed merging 2 uptown schools, PS 241 and PS 76 in Harlem. As a result, the CEC president has suggested that the southern rezoning plans be combined with the northern, meaning no school is safe. The rezoning vote is supposedly scheduled for November 9th, and Kindergarten Connect, the application form NYC parents fill out for general education kindergarten, comes out in December. That is a very tight timeline. In the meantime, for all the frantic parents coming to me for advice about what they should do, I say, do nothing. Sit tight. If you were thinking of moving in order to secure a good school zone, just wait a few weeks. The vote could be no, and everything could go back to the drawing board. Nothing is certain right now. But if you are beginning to consider your options beyond a zoned public school for kindergarten 2017, keep listening, because there have been changes in gifted and talented admissions as well. Regular listeners of NYC School Secrets know that students who score above the 97th percentile are, in theory, eligible to apply to the 5 citywide accelerated gifted and talented schools. However, in practice, so many kids score in the 99th percentile that even all those children can't get a seat. The only exception is siblings. Siblings who score at the 97th percentile get priority over non-siblings who score in the 99th if they rank the school their brother or sister attends first. Now comes another wrinkle. A dozen new schools have signed up to participate in a voluntary diversity initiative where a certain number of seats are set aside for children who qualify for free lunch or are English language learners. When it comes to zone schools, those schools will still have to accommodate all zone children before accepting out-of-zone candidates. With unzoned schools, they can easily separate the applicants into 2 priority groups, free lunch and non-free. But the big question comes with Brooklyn School of Inquiry. As a G&T citywide, test scores are supposed to be the only criteria, followed by a lottery. There has been no word yet as to whether free lunch students will be treated like siblings and given preference even with a lower score, or whether all those who score in the 99th percentile will be admitted first, then those in the 98th and the 97th, with free lunch students getting 40% of seats in each strata. We'll keep you posted. Oh, and on a completely unrelated note, the Success Academy Charter School Network has opened applications for the 2017-2018 school year. They are accepting kids to all of their member schools for kindergarten and first grade, as well as for select schools in 2nd through 4th grade. Go to www.successacademies.org/apply to fill out an application. Meanwhile, perhaps realizing that raising kids in the city is getting harder and harder, and that's no way to keep families from fleeing to Westchester in New Jersey, NYC has launched an official resource portal at growingupnyc.cityofnewyork.us. It lists programs and events as well as health tips. When it comes to schools, Growing Up New York features the exact same information as is currently up on their schools.nyc.gov website. But hey, this one has a more colorful font, so that should make all the recent confusion much clearer. But just in case it doesn't, so many parents over the past few weeks have come to me asking for advice about private schools, when to apply, how to get in, what are they really looking for, that I went straight to the source. When we come back, an interview with the head of the Parents League to answer all of your private school questions. Stay tuned.
Basis Independent Schools in Brooklyn and Manhattan offer a world-acclaimed liberal arts and sciences program. Join us Saturday, November 5th for an open house. Register at basisindependent.com/NYC schools.
With all the turmoil in the public schools, from rezoning to standardized testing to concerns about the safety of everything from having armed guards in the building to the drinking water, more and more parents are coming to realize that they have options beyond public schools. And one of those options is definitely private school. But applying to private school is very different from applying to public, not only in the timeline, but also your child's age at the time of enrollment, the testing process, and the parents' role in getting accepted. Gina Mallon, Executive Director of the Parents League, shared some tricks of the trade with NYC School Secrets from kindergarten through high school. Listen in.
Good morning, Gina. Thank you so much for being with us today.
My pleasure. Thank you.
So we're going to get to the kind of questions that everybody wants to know. How and when should New York City parents apply to private school, everything from kindergarten to high school?
Okay, the parents should begin filing the applications the September before their child would enter the school. So, for example, for kindergarten, the parents would apply the year before when their child is 4. That being said, parents should begin researching and developing their list of schools in the spring and over the summer so they're ready to go in September to file the application. And parents should gather, and there are many resources where parents could gather information, either your nursery school director or if you're applying to high school, your guidance counselor or placement officer. There are other resources. Parents could look at the NYSAIS website, which is the New York State Association of Independent Schools, and of course, parents could also contact the Parents League for guidance.
Now, parents who are applying to public school are used to it being a simpler process. Their child might take a test, but most of the time it's just a matter of filing an application. Private school isn't that simple. There are actually a couple of steps that parents need to take. What are the various aspects of the private school application process?
Right. Parents file an application, and often with that application there may be a parent statement and essays. After they have filed the application, parents are invited to tour the school, and most schools also have a separate interview for the parent and the child.
So it's a much more complicated process, and it's a much more time-consuming process.
Yes, it is a time-consuming process, and also depending on the age of the child, the children may have to take a standardized test. Not for kindergarten, with the exception of 3 schools, private schools, but certainly second grade and beyond. Most of the schools require a standardized test for admission.
So how does the Parents League help parents through this very complicated and time-consuming process?
We provide one-on-one advisory, unlimited advisory services. So starting from the beginning of the process, we help parents develop a list of schools. We give them resources and help them then refine their list of schools. And then when they file their application, if they have questions about the applications, we'll help them through that. We'll help them if they have questions about the tour, what should they be looking for, questions that they should ask, how to prepare their child for their play visit if they're applying to kindergarten, how to prepare their child for interview, how to manage decisions at the end of the process. So we're there from beginning until the end.
So basically you not only hold people's hands, but you really actively give them advice on things they should be doing as they go through the process.
Yes, absolutely.
What is the most important piece of advice that you can offer to parents about this process?
Trust your gut. Trust your instincts. There's a lot of information, and I have to say misinformation out there about the process and schools. I think if parents can really go to reliable sources, and yes, friends and family and colleagues can be helpful, but sometimes the chatter can be overwhelming, and parents forget about what this is all about. It's about finding the right fit for their child and their family.
You mentioned misinformation. What's some misinformation that you think is floating around there that's actually hurting parents on this process?
I think some of the hype and anxiety, if you're organized, I think that is very, very helpful. I think sometimes parents will hear something about a school, even it could be as simple as the interviews are all full. And that could be totally inaccurate. And that happened this year when we got a call, and that was, and so the parent was very upset and worried, and but when we checked it, that wasn't the case at all. But they had heard it from someone else, and this is how, as you know, the rumor mill gets started.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. I don't think you could answer this question, but this is a question that I get all the time. Parents ask, what are the private schools looking for? Is there any kind of even general information you can say about that?
So I know you hear it all the time. They're looking for, a fit as well, but they're really looking, too, for parents who want to be there, who are supportive of the school, understand the school philosophy, and embrace it.
It's interesting that you mentioned parents because, again, with public schools, so much of it really is contingent on the child, and parents play a smaller role. Parents play a much bigger role in the private school application process, to the point where I've even heard it said, they're not rejecting your child, they're rejecting you. Would you say that's true? Would you say parents play a much more important role, and what can they do to improve their chances?
Parents do play a big role, especially at kindergarten. Absolutely. As a child gets older and you're applying for high school, then it's really more about the student and the student's profile and record and how that student's going to fit in the class, in the incoming class. But what can parents do? Parents, again, can do their research, do their homework, and talk to each other, or listen to your own gut about what is it that we really want, what speaks to us, and then convey that to the school in a sincere way. That, yes, this school speaks to us, and why.
Yeah, one of the things I was just saying to someone is that I strongly recommend that you explain why you are passionate about the school. And as I was saying, if there's one thing about the school, you can't find one thing to gush over, then you shouldn't be at that school. Would you say that's accurate?
I think that's accurate. Accurate, yes.
So where can parents learn more about the Parents League?
They can go to our website, parentsleague.org, or they can give us a call. But I would go to the website, they can learn about us, and another piece of advice I would give is to join the Parents League and become a member.
And how does one become a member of the Parents League?
You can sign up on the website, or you can give us a call. Membership is $200. And that gives you a year of advisory services and our programs and publications and workshops. We also offer a financial aid membership for families who are applying for financial aid, and that's $100.
Terrific. Thank you so much, Gina, for joining us.
Thank you.
We really appreciate it.
The biggest concern parents have about private school is whether or not they can afford it. For the inside scoop on financial aid, listen to our podcast number 22. And for private school admissions information in general, check out podcast number 2, both on www.nycschoolsecrets.com under the podcast tab. One thing I can tell you is that you would be shocked by how much financial aid there is out there for the right family, and by how much you can make and still be eligible for financial aid. I strongly urge all families to at least tour a few private schools before deciding one way or the other. You can learn more about private schools in my books, Getting into NYC Kindergarten and Getting into NYC High School, on Amazon and BarnesandNoble.com. And if you've got questions you'd like to ask me in person, stop by my workshops, Getting into NYC Kindergarten at Dazzling Discoveries on Tuesday, November 1st at 6 p.m., and Getting into NYC High School at Skill Mill NYC on Wednesday, November 2nd. Email me at alinaadams@gmail.com to reserve your spot. Space is extremely limited. And as always, make sure you sign up for my mailing list on www.nycschoolsecrets.com to be in the know about all the latest NYC school news and what it means to you. We'll see you next week.